The following is intended only for mature audiences.
Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann, and this is episode 3 for Men's Mental Health Month. I want to talk about a concept that is near and dear to my heart, and that is, I once heard somebody say, having to co-parent with somebody you don't get along with is like serving a jail sentence. And I cannot agree more with that. Now, I have 2 children, ages 14 and 12, with
The Beast.
My first baby mama. And I got to tell you, every time there's a birthday of one of my kids, I sit there and I count down. And I just, in my head, I see the calendar flip. 1 less year until I'm done dealing with this human being regularly and having to fight over every aspect of it.
You bitch!
Additionally, I have 2 younger children who are 8 and almost 6 with my estranged spouse, and we're getting divorced. And the divorce is ugly, and she's employed some really shitty legal maneuvers to try to fuck me out of joint custody of our kids. And I've talked about that, and I don't want to get into that more, but the fact of the matter is having kids can be really fucking great. And I never wanted kids because I didn't want the responsibility and I thought the world sucked. But I slipped one past the goalie a number of times, and although my children did not ask to be born, they do deserve to be parented and have me around and involved in their life. And I will fight tooth and nail and to my very last penny to make sure that I have that right and they are safe and they are taken care of. No matter what their mothers may think in terms of they're smarter than me about this or their notions about what should happen are better. It's just a matter of the fact that you've got 2 people that made this kid together. And you've got one that feels like they've got a better grip on a situation. So that what they do is, instead of trying to compromise, in the case of both of my kids' moms, is they make it difficult. And when you have a bad co-parent, you're basically sitting here trying to run up the clock. It's a playoff game. It's very close. The lead switches multiple times, and you're just trying to get to the end of the game so you can sink that last basket and win. Or in my case, the light at the end of the tunnel is when these kids turn 18 and I don't have to fight with these women anymore. Because that's what it becomes. You go to court, it costs money, it costs time, it takes days off your life, it fucks with your emotions, you feel depressed and shitty, you question yourself. When you have to fight tooth and nail just to get through the simple shit, it makes every fucking difficult decision feel like you are on the battlefield and it is a dogfight. In the trenches, there's bombs going off, grenades flying, people screaming. It's just a nightmare, and nobody comes out of it unscathed. Maybe they lost a limb, maybe they lost their life, maybe they saw their buddy die and they came out with nothing else but PTSD, but nobody is unchanged, and everybody suffers. So you sit there, and when you have a child with somebody, that then becomes 19 years of working together.
You don't say.
Now, whether you can get along and pull that shit off, it might be on you, it might be on them, it might be a combination of the both of you. In this case, I will admit, I'm difficult to get along with at times because I'm very adamant that I have sat there and worked out the details of what is probably the most logical and best hypothetical or easily agreed upon course of action. And when you've got somebody that constantly thinks that you're an asshole, and they won't even listen to you, well, everything's a fight. And you can't enjoy birthdays, you can't enjoy holidays. I get really fucking upset around Christmas every year because I'm just worried that I'm not going to get to spend it with my kids the way I want to, arguing over time with either of my kids' moms. The same goes for trick-or-treating. For years, it was an argument over who would take them. And now eventually, with my older girls, I was the one that was taking them after she had them a little bit early, or maybe not at all because she didn't want to go. And that's fine. I enjoy trick-or-treating. I also enjoy getting up early on Christmas and watching Pee-wee's Christmas Special or something related like that, and then opening gifts. Or I also like to attend sports practices and games or recitals or concerts if they're in band or orchestra. I enjoy all that. Now, we don't have to sit together, but we should kind of coordinate what's going on. And now here's an example. A year and a half ago, my oldest, the Juice, didn't want to play because she had performance anxiety. Now, her mom,
The Beast.
texts me on my drive there and says she doesn't want to perform and you shouldn't make her. And I say, it's a part of her grade. She's going to fucking do it. Now, it should have been simple as, yeah, he's got a point. Okay, you're going to perform. But no, she fought me tooth and nail. And as soon as I walked up, she got pissed at me for looking at our daughter and going, you will get on that stage. You will not give me any shit. You're not going to try to get a project to make up the points and not perform. You have practiced. You've put in the time. You're going to show everybody what you got. And even if you're embarrassed, you need to suck it up and get over it. Why did I say it like that? Because life is about performing, not making excuses, and I'm trying to build resilient children. As soon as I said that, her mom gets pissed at me and tells me to go fuck myself and storms off. She did not come back and sit somewhere else where I wasn't. She went home, basically disappointing our daughter and showing that she didn't have it in her to compromise or just suck it up and let me try to parent when she didn't agree with me to do something that's best for our daughter, so it became an argument. And she couldn't even be there, standing in the back to watch this orchestra concert performance. And that's just shitty parenting.
That is correct.
Now, we've argued over vaccinations. We argued over psych meds. We've argued over the goddamn HPV vaccination. We've argued over what classes they're going to take, over whether or not they need to pay back things when they get them on credit. Like they'll say, will you buy this for me and I'll pay you when we get home? And then I have to drop them off with their mom. She's like, they're not paying you back. They shouldn't have to pay you back. So you're sticking it to me because you don't know how to fucking co-parent, and this is going to become an argument. Famously, I can't tell you how many fights I've had with
The Beast.
over the kids' clothing. And to refresh you, items that I purchased or my mom purchased go on the kids' bodies and worn over to her house, and then she fights with me about giving them back. And it got so bad that I got sick of the fights that I had to put the kid in the middle and say, here's the deal. If you don't start bagging up your shit when you take it off and it comes back to my house as expected, I'm going to delete your Minecraft world. And eventually, I had to fucking do it. And she learned a lesson that day. I was not bluffing. Don't get in between mom and dad and start fights by being lazy and not doing your one simple chore that involves bringing your stuff between houses. The same goes for book bags. It's just something we don't need to fight about. Now, if you're married and you get along and you raise kids and occasionally they'll see you argue but not fucking lose it on each other, and sometimes you disagree but you work to an amenable resolution, kind of like back on the show Home Improvement with Tim and Jill Taylor, or on Roseanne with Roseanne and Dan Connor. Those are the archetypal TV parents for me because that was the age I was the most impressionable. And I learned from them and took from them that you got to sit down and talk it out. If you're one of those couples that doesn't fight about raising your kids, give yourself a pat on the back. You are so fucking lucky, because I can't tell you how tired I am of the most trivial of situations turning into a fucking game of Minesweeper. And I say one word and kaboom, the whole fucking screen shows little flags and bombs. It's just so frustrating. And fights that don't need to happen go down, and I'm not typically the one that starts it. I just disagree with the other parent, and then we're arguing. And it's so hard to agree. And there are plenty of times that I have come to the defense of either one of my kids' moms in the face of the kids having an issue with how we're parenting. And I say, you need to listen to mom. I'm supporting her 100%. It does not happen often. But at times when my first baby mama, who has that nickname, tends to come at me in a more peaceful manner and we talk it out, and then I agree with her, everything's so much better. And the kids don't have to see us fight and be like, I'm so sick of mom and dad fighting. And they don't have that tension of, oh my God, a fight's going to happen. Like, because all of us, all four of us in that family dynamic constantly approach every situation defensively and ready to fight because we know what's going to happen. We know the history. And unfortunately, I'm not going to back down. Mom's not going to bite her tongue, and the kids are going to get caught in the middle, and it fucking sucks. And I feel terrible for my children. Their pain is my pain. I gave them life by being lazy with my cum and not being able to do math better on her cycle or pulling out. And then they happened, and now they have to live with this shit. So not only is it like a jail sentence for you counting on the days until you're free, it's for the kids that are basically collateral damage in the inability to parent together in a copacetic and peaceful manner. It takes so much of a toll on my daughters. It's ridiculous. And then I have to look forward to the next 13 fucking years with my soon-to-be ex-wife and how she wants to make everything difficult when she doesn't have to. And it's just like, what's it going to be like with those two? Because we got one boy and one girl. Are we going to fight like Steiny and his ex over extracurriculars and what sport the kid plays and who pays for what? Because we already kind of do that. Fighting over money sucks. It should be easy. Everybody pays half. But you get chintzy people that don't want to do that, like
The Beast.
or Steiny's ex that famously never could get enough child support money, even though she didn't really need it. She just wanted to live more comfortably and basically didn't care if she bankrupted him or made him live hand to mouth. And that's really shitty. Or if you're a single dad and your ex-partner is the piece of shit and you treat them like garbage and the kids get stuck in the middle, you need to talk to that parent about some sort of family counseling to work it out so it doesn't feel like you're constantly at war. Because everybody involved will develop some degree of trauma response from this, and it usually is like PTSD. Like with my kids. When their mom and I are together, and I mean my older two, they tense up. They're always nervous, especially our 12-year-old who is the most affected by it. And the first word of disagreement, stop fighting, I can't handle this. And it's like, we're not even fighting. We just disagreed on one thing.
Aw, bitch.
But that's the problem when you got parents, whether they're together or apart, boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and husband, wife and wife, whatever the fucking dynamic is. When you got two people that are trying to raise a kid to the best of their thinking, that's when there's problems. That's why you got to sit there and learn how to compromise. And if it means you go to therapy to figure that shit out, you put in the fucking work so your kids don't have to suffer. Because, again, let's say you got two gangs in prison. Mom's the leader of one, I'm the leader of the other. And every time there's retaliatory action between us, somebody gets caught up and gets beat, stabbed, robbed, raped, killed. Apply that to kids. Every time we argue over money, clothes, extracurriculars, schedules, all that. The kids get swept up. They feel shitty. And I feel terrible, but I also have to stick up for what I believe is correct and be firm with their mom. And if she can't handle it and she flies off the handle as she's known to do, well, you're starting the fight. You're taking a conversation and escalating things. You're responsible. And then later on when you say that I started it by trying to flip that victim and offender role, not so fast, bitch. I'm not going to deal with your Uno reverse card. I'm going to throw a reverse card on your reverse card. You can suck my asshole.
Ew, ew.
You started it. You're responsible. You can't have a calm conversation. Nothing's going to get solved. And that's the worst. The worst is when there's something to be said and an argument breaks out and nothing gets accomplished. Somebody hangs up. Somebody leaves. You were trying to do something for the kids and you didn't get to the end goal because one or both of you lost your shit and the conversation and communication broke down and the decision-making got cut off prematurely, and you still got to do that, but now you got to wait for everybody to cool off, and you got to figure out, do you need to apologize? Do you feel like they need to apologize? Are we going to acknowledge who fucking started it? Is a fight going to break out over who started it, and then we do this all over again? It's just like all this added stress. And I got friends a couple houses down. They're married. They love each other. They get along great. Every time I see them, I've never heard them really disagree, and they have 3 little girls. And it must be amazing to just get along. I don't know what that's like. And maybe there's times where the wife gets her way, and maybe there's times where dad gets his way. I don't know. I have to assume it boils down to roughly 60-40, 50-50, but doubtful is it 70-30, 80-20, or 90-10. Good relationships, strong co-parenting relationships involve mature communication, compromise, patience, not losing your cool, not fucking name calling, not bringing the kids in the middle of it to referee, although sometimes you kind of have to be like, who do you think started it? Let that guide you. But overall, it sucks having the kids in the middle. It sucks not being able to enjoy all the aspects of parenting. You always feel like, when is the next time that things are going to be bad? And even when they're going good, you're waiting for that other shoe to drop and everything is going to go to shit. It's nerve-wracking, and I hate it. And just like the person that said that was the basis for this episode, it is like a jail sentence. You try to work on yourself which is comparable to like going to programs, therapy, counseling, vocational classes, and stuff like that. But you're still serving time. You're still counting down. And even though a day might be a day, the next day might not be a day. The next day might be a fight, or somebody tries to rape you in the shower. Basically, you're trying to get money from them for something that they owe their half, and they're like, fuck you, I'm not paying. I don't know what that's like at all. I have to fight with my soon-to-be ex-wife just to pay my half where she doesn't want to show me receipts or tell me how much I owe her. Now tell me how retarded that is, that I want to be a responsible 50-50 paying parent, and I have to argue the exact polar opposite of
The beast.
and I have to fight just to fucking be responsible and give her what she's owed. And how this boils down is your kids see you fighting, and they love you both, and you don't want to do anything to hurt them, but you're trying to stick up for yourself and do what you think is right or get what you're owed. And they're stuck in the middle, and there's these fucking loyalty conflicts, like, well, I love mom and dad, but dad says that mom's being mean. I don't know what to do. So that's why it sucks having to put them in the middle. But you can't make progress if every time you try to move forward, somebody blocks you. You got to move the chains. You got to move the ball down the field to get into the end zone. And the goal there is, what sport are they going to play? Who's picking them up from practice? What classes are they going to take? How many hours a week are you going to let them be on their phone so their studies don't suffer? Things like that. And then if you're constantly fighting and not getting along, your kids, it's going to take an emotional toll, like I've said. They're going to have negative comments about themselves because they internalize all that conflict. And it might manifest in their grades dipping, or they become a recluse in their room and avoid contact with you when mom or dad is around. Or they might just develop behavioral problems and they start outwardly projecting all that frustration by acting out in class or hitting other students or starting arguments with the other parent or you. You never know. Co-parenting with a toxic ex, it shortens your life. And your relationship with your kids suffers. And then they grow up and say, I had a shitty childhood because you guys fight all the time. Well, then it gets back to the previous episode of, well, who's to blame? And they don't want to fucking sit there and get in the middle, so now you've got your loyalty conflict. But to get things accomplished, you need to approach the problem and establish who the fucking aggressor was. And nobody likes doing that, and everything about it sucks, and it just makes being a dad or a mom fucking terrible. And I hate to say this, but there are people I know who the other parent is not involved and they make all the decisions. They kind of get drunk on that power, but at the same time, they also have it easy. And that sucks to say, but they don't have to fight, and the kid doesn't see that, and they might not have the other parent, and that's a whole other litany of issues, but they don't suffer because of being stuck in the middle. So if you have kids with somebody you're not together, do whatever you can to make it easy and comfortable for them all the time so your kids don't feel shitty and stuck in the middle. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann. And that's the end.